Invocation. Sahana bhavantu, sahana bhunaktu, sahavidyam karavavahai, tejasvinavadidamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shivaya, and welcome to our meditation practice today on Monday. It's great to have you here. So we've been talking about developing certain inner strength and inner skills that don't always have to be revealed to the exterior world. I jokingly talked about handstands and yogis performing handstands, and that's external, a very external thing. So what we're talking about is more stuff that maybe you don't tell people that you have a skill to be able to do certain things. One of the things that I think that yoga allows us to do is it allows us to assess what is of value and that we need to express and put time into, and what is not of value, what is kind of a waste of time and spinning our wheels. A lot of the issues that are floating around within the yoga, the liberal thinking world, and I am a liberal. I wear that politics on my sleeve, okay? But there are certain things that become very trite and tedious, and that have been made important when in fact they're not really important things or values of things of value. They may be at the moment to somebody individually, but a lot of times what's happening with the yoga world is people are putting emphasis on things that are actually beyond the control of even the practitioners of yoga. Things like the idea that you can, is it cultural appropriation or not? That's a big one, right? And I thought about this because last night we went to a friend out to dinner, and right now we're supposed to have outdoor seating, but my friend who has a restaurant, he said, we don't have our seating ready yet. He said, just sit down. And so we kind of like ended up sitting in a corner of the building and were fed. And there was a television on, and the TV there was a couple of different things. There was a BET event that was on where it was Black Entertainment Corporation. It was Jamie Foxx was hosting it. It was mostly singers. There wasn't a lot of speeches or anything like that. It was one performer after another. And I don't even know who the two performers were. One was, I remember the sound coming on, and I heard like an old song from the 70s kind of be the background tune. Everybody was kung fu fighting, and it was a male rap guy, and and then I don't know the rest of the song or how it had been blended in, but everybody was kind of dressed up like ninjas, and it was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it was I didn't find it offensive, but at the same time, it was what we would call cultural appropriation. Then a few seconds later, there was a female singer who showed up with a neon pagoda and a what looked like a vinyl kimono, and her backup singers had like what the kind of rice paddy hats, but they were all in white vinyl and black vinyl and red, and it was a whole Asian or Japanese, Chinese takeoff, but in a kind of modernistic, plastic, neon world. And so I watched that. Then afterwards, the whole show went off, and in the restaurant they started playing Bollywood videos, like music videos from pop singers from India. And that was fascinating because then you had a whole different slant on kind of cross culture pollination is what I would call it. I wouldn't really call it cultural appropriation. It's the pollination of cross cultures, right? You had guys in kirta that like were long, the long shirts, but then they had like acid wash jeans on and Converse sneakers on the bottom, and then you had like the everybody in the dance hall was in traditional wear except for the male singer who was in tuxedo pants and a cummerbund and a tuxedo shirt, but the tie was undone, very a la Frank Sinatra, 1950s. And then you had like another video where everybody was Indian except for the African American DJ hip hop guy who was there kind of making everything cool and hip. These are things that are just cross pollination. Like I said, the one thing is that the exchange of these very superficial things like clothing, the sound of a song that maybe makes you think it's Asian, maybe it has nothing to do with Asia, or the fact that you have like the hip hop American DJ with a like that you've all of a sudden like there's no way that you can. That's not any kind of culture that's going to last. And we get caught up in these things. All of these things are external, right? And the yogi is able to decipher the unreal from the real. And these things that we get upset about in the external world are going to change over time. They're not going to become important. They're actually symbols and a visual language that 10, 15 years from now, they're not going to make any sense to a new generation. Are they going to look old-fashioned? Are they going to look silly? And we can see that throughout history because this is pop culture. And a lot of the things that we're getting upset about within the yoga world are, here again, things that aren't really grounded in what we are looking for as yogis as the real, as the unchanging. They're changing ideas. They're constantly moving and shifting. And so I question sometimes, when yogis get into these deep discussions about how to dress or how to talk or how to like use it's like you're not teaching yoga anymore, because we've all been taught by the masters and the sages and the saints that is not what is important. Even Adi Shankaracharya, in his great epic poem, starts out by saying the Sanskrit language, the teachings of grammar are not going to save you at the end of the day. These are things that are fleeting. They are things that are not important on the day of your death. They're not going to change your karma. And you know, those are the real teachings of that inner strength that we want to focus on. That you, as a yogi, have the inner strength and the inner wisdom to know what to spend your energy on, to know where to invest your energy. Now, everything I'm saying is so against the whole politically correct culture right now. And I'm not saying it out of a reason of to argue because I'm on the right, or I feel like that, I'm white. I'm actually saying it because it goes against the teachings of yoga. Um, and maybe for someone who's kind of, dabbling in yoga, or yoga isn't, they may say they're a yoga teacher, they may say they're a yoga practitioner, but they're kind of dabbling in it if these things become so important that that's all they spend their time teaching about. And I've witnessed several yogis right now who this is all they care about, are these external things that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, people are going to look back and go, why did they spend so much time on that? Or was that really that important at that point in time? And those are things that are unreal. They're going to shift in the mind of the observer. The thing that is unchanging is what the yogi focuses on. The unchanging reality. And that is connecting to internal knowledge, internal wisdom, and internal strength, not external things. Because it shouldn't matter if Nicki Marjan is going to wear a vinyl kimono. Like, is that important? Does that really mean anything at the end? Is that anything to really become upset about or concerned about? Because it was disposable culture anyway. It was pop culture. Does it really matter that, like, a Bollywood video mixes very iconic American imagery with the Near East or Asia? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. In 10 years, that's going to look old-fashioned. It's going to look out of date. It's going to look tired. So connect to what is important, which is the internal world. That's what yoga teaches. So taking a moment, setting up tall, close your eyes, and bring your senses inward. All that stuff we're talking about is all external. It has no part of the internal world. Because the internal world isn't trapped in these ideas of materialism, of surface identity, of the world that is fleeting, which is prakriti. Our nature. Nature changes season to season, year to year, decade to decade. It doesn't stay the same. And as you get comfortable in your seat and you start to feel comfortable with the internal, allow the breath to deepen. Deep, full inhales. Deep, full exhales. Deep inhales. Deep exhales. Take the time to enjoy the breath. Let the breath be internal instead of external. Deep inhales. Deep exhales. And as you inhale, hear the sound of Om internally. And as you exhale, hear the sound of Om internally. Synchronize the sound of Om with the inhale. Synchronize the sound of Om with the exhale. As you inhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om in the mind's eye. As you exhale, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. Continue this on your own, deeply inhaling the sound of Om. Continue on your own to exhale the sound of Om. Acknowledge that you are beginning to build inner strength. Acknowledge that you are beginning to build inner wisdom. Acknowledge that you are beginning to build an understanding of the real and the unreal, an ability to negate the real from the unreal. Continue your deep inhales and deep exhales. Tell yourself, I am not this body. Tell yourself, I am not this mind. Tell yourself, I am not these thoughts. Tell yourself, I am not these emotions. Tell yourself you are Swayambakashit, self-illuminating, infinity, eternal, everlasting light. Inhale deeply for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together, rubbing the hands together, building heat within the hands. Bring the hands over the eyes. Allow the heat within the hands to be absorbed into the eyes. Gently open the eyes. Bring the hands across the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head, the nape of the neck. Bringing the hands together in prayer, bowing down. Allowing the forehead to touch the thumbs. Giving thanks and praise for the teachings of yoga and those teachers who have brought us these teachings from the past, the present, and those that are still yet to be revealed. Om Bolo Sadguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. Thank you all so much for being here today. And we will continue working on these ideas and these concepts of inner strength, inner knowledge, inner wisdom, and these will be these are very important right now when the world around you is so external, is that it really everything sucks you into it. So I will see you on